Well, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Or as I heard today, Monday Junior. I've never heard that term before. Yeah, happy Tuesday. Hope y'all doing well. I just wanted to get on real quickly, do some coaching, some empowering. All right. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, so I hope everything's been going well for you. Um, I hope that you've been following us far as this teaching, far as from our ministry, and also if you are following me far as the business component, I'm teaching the same thing far as becoming a better person. What does that look like? Well, number one, we've been talking about facing your reality. What does your reality look like? I've been telling you for weeks, your reality is not the tangible things, it's not the material things, but facing your reality, it does involve you, the inner man, that person, those feelings, those emotions, the reason why you do the things that you do. Okay. So we want to learn how to face them and deal with them. And if there's anything that we need to do better, hey, work on them. You know, don't ever allow a person to make you feel bad about taking care of you. You know, if you deal with people and they have a problem with you trying to better you, then that's a flag, and that's really a clear sign that you need to move on and find someone else or find some people who shares the same ideal that you have far as wanting to be a better person. So just give me a moment. Let me share this real quickly to my other pages. But yeah, so we want to continue to focus on the reality. What is my reality? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What do I need to do within myself to become better? And this is a journey that you will have to take. You will have to be serious with it. Someone else may not get on board. It may not be one of those things where you tell your girlfriends or your homeboys, hey, let's go to the game or let's go to the mall and they got a sale and everybody's on board. It may not be like that. Some people just may not get it. It just depends on where they're at in their life, and it's okay. And that's what I want you to understand, that it is okay when people are not getting you. Okay. I used to at times try to figure out, how come people don't understand me or how come people don't want the same things that I want. But then I realized I heard something that TD Jakes said, and he was talking about how when we were younger, how we didn't care. We would buy expensive things, expensive shoes, and just waste money. But then when we got older, we wish we didn't have all those things, the shoes, the pocketbooks, we wish we had groceries, we wish we had real estate. So when you're young, young, you think immature, unless you have a person in your life who is truly, um, who truly took that task to invest wisdom and sense into you. But for the most part, many of us, we had to find our way through and realize once we got in our 40s that, hey, life can be better. I do not have to accept what I have been dealing with. So it all goes back to training and teaching and talking about your life experience. I know sometimes we want to hold back and we don't want people knowing certain things, or we don't want to give people clues or nuggets. But hey, listen, while I'm on this journey, I'm going to share, because if it's going to help you be better, at the same time help me become better by me studying and looking. into other resources so I can bring it to you, then hey, that's what I want. I want us all to be better in this thing called life. All right, so yes, we're facing our reality. Not only are we going to face our reality, but we're going to start being accountable. Yeah, be accountable for who you are. Be accountable for the things that God has given you. Be accountable for the things that you may think, oh, I hate this season. This season is not fair to me. It may not be fair, but if you have been given a task, be accountable for that task. Be responsible. Work it. Do it until the Lord says otherwise. When I used to work for Essentra, I had at the time I was a team lead before I became a supervisor. I was a lead, and I used to tell the team that worked up under me, work me out of a job. And one of them, she would always say, "No, no, no, Q, we love you. We want you here. We want you here." And I would always tell her, "No, this is nothing personal. You're not going to work me out of a job so that they can fire me, but you're going to work me out of a job so I can get a promotion, because I'm going to invest myself in you. I'm going to give you everything that I have learned, all of my experience in manufacturing, all of my experience as a teacher, as an educator, all of my experience with working with people, from my company, coaching people, consulting and counseling people. I'm going to give you all of me so that when I leave, because I know I'm going to get promoted, because that's just how I think. So when I leave, the spirit of me still remains. And I had my best friend, he's still there, and he's a superintendent there. And from what he says, that group of people, they're still running it the way, that I had things set up. And that's what you want. That's how you know you have a good leader. A leader does not hold back everything. They raise up other leaders, okay? They tell people, listen, I know you may not want to do it, but I see something great on the inside of you. Now let's be accountable for what you have been given. You may not want it, but you still have to be accountable. You still have to be responsible. Something simple as our vehicles. No matter how expensive or how the gas get, listen, if you have a certain type of car, guess what? You cannot put the lower grade in your car, in your vehicle. You cannot put that type of fuel in your vehicle and expect a top performance from that vehicle. I don't care. Listen, if gas get up to $7, per gallon, guess what? You have to put $7 in. We may be like, oh Lord Jesus, what was I thinking? But at the same time, you have to what? You have to service your vehicle according to the manufacturing, because the manufacturers, those who manufacture your vehicle, they know what it takes to what? Get top performance. So you have to be held accountable for that type of vehicle. Okay, I just use that as an example. We can talk about anything: your house, your children, your spouse, your job, the furniture that you get. Um, I remember there was a time when I didn't allow people to sit on a certain set of furniture that we had in our house. Yeah, you can sit downstairs, but nobody was allowed to sit upstairs, because I want to make sure that it stayed in good condition. So sometimes we think, well, it's just furniture, it's just this, it's just that. And it could be to the eyes of someone who didn't work hard to get it. It could be to someone who don't know the value of what it is that you have, or what it took for you to get there. And so what you have to do is, no matter what other people think, how they feel, you are still accountable for everything that you have. All right. So we talked about the understanding our reality, or facing our reality. We talk about the accountability. And then last week we started talking about boundaries. Set your boundaries. What does your boundaries look like? Your boundaries are not a set of rules and layers of control to control people so that you can be happy with yourself or so that you can feel good about yourself. That's not why we set boundaries. We don't set boundaries to control people. We set boundaries or we set limits to keep ourselves in check, to make sure that we are happy and encouraged and empowered and full of joy, and it's okay for you to talk like that and say, "Hey, listen, I'm accountable for my space. I'm accountable for the information that I allow to go into my ear that may contaminate my spirit and cause me to be upset." Now, even if things happen, and we know that we do not live in a perfect world, so even if things happen, you get upset or whatever, it is still up to you to change how you feel. It's up to you to figure it out. Now, for some, it's going to take a while, especially now since I'm just now doing this teaching, but it may take a moment for you to get yourself together. And it's okay because I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, I didn't get it, or I was mad all day, or I've been mad all week, for this particular thing. But you're going to get it. The more you decide to invest in you, in your area or your layers of peace, because I believe there's different levels of peace that we can walk in. Once you decide to invest in yourself and understand those levels of peace in your life, then it doesn't matter about the outside world. And that's the thing that the enemy does not want us to understand. He does not mind us coming to church. He doesn't mind us being affiliated with the local assembly. He just don't want us to get the word of the Lord to change us. He don't want us to get the kingdom concept and the kingdom mindset, because once you get the mindset of God, get the mindset of the kingdom, then you're not as easily vexed and aggravated, as you would be, because the world system is set up to cause you to walk in fear, to cause you to doubt, to cause you to be afraid, and to cause you not to have more than enough. But God, listen, his word is true when his son said, "Hey, I came that you may have life and have it more abundantly." So how do we get this life? How do we get to this place that we've never been before? Well, number one, face your reality. What don't you like about what you've been seeing? Number two, be accountable. Be accountable for your space. Don't worry about somebody else's door. Let them sweep around their own door. You focus on you and your house. And when I'm talking about house, I'm talking about you. Okay? The woman in the mirror, the man in the mirror. You focus on you. Okay? And then the boundaries. Set the boundaries. I said before, for an example, if you are single and you're trying to maintain a certain lifestyle, then there's just certain things that you can't do. It's just as simple as that. You cannot do certain things, or you cannot put yourself in certain situations because you're human. The flesh is just what it is. So I use for an example as far as phone calls. If you know that you have in the past been easily persuaded by a certain person or a group of people, then don't accept the phone call. Don't accept the phone call after a certain time. You know, you have to talk yourself out of making a mistake. S- mm. You have to talk to yourself. Listen, I'm telling y'all, this has really been helping me. Think about what you're thinking. See, when a human, a natural thought comes to you, it's not for you to feel like, oh my God, I'm so bad. I'm not saved. I'm not Holy Ghost filled. God is not going to use me. No, 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 no. It's the pondering on it. This is why I'm saying, and I have said through this teaching, think about what you're thinking. When you get that call or you get that invitation, yes, you may want to, right? But think about it. Why? What's going to be the consequences? How is this going to take me backwards? It may not necessarily take me physically backwards, but psychologically, emotionally, it may take me backwards. Therefore, I have my boundaries set that says this. When I minister, and I've always had this, I don't like to talk to people before I have to minister. And it's not that I'm a mean person, it's just that sometimes people just don't know. I've had people in the past come and give me bad news, or tell me something crazy. When I say bad news, I'm not talking about if, something's hurting them or bothering them, but I'm talking about bringing gossip, bringing foolish stuff before I have to deliver the word, and the thing is, at the end of the day, you're still human. So sometimes you have to shake yourself loose of all of that. So what I have decided, I don't want to talk, especially if I'm traveling to another place. you know, I would make sure, like, people know that's riding in the car, she's not talking. They can talk, but she's not talking. She's meditating. She's trying to make sure that I have a good headspace. Okay, so those are boundaries. Again, it is not to control you, but it's to make sure that I'm good or to make sure that you're good. All right. So this week, I didn't actually put it up here on Facebook, but I did on TikTok. Again, I'm trying to do better with my social media presence. But I was just so busy yesterday that I did not get to do this talk on here on Facebook yesterday, but I did share my TikTok. But anyway, the week or the word of the week is value. Okay? Value, your worth. I know you've heard of it before. I know that people have told you before, know your worth, know who you are, etc. Right? So today I am going to give you all a sneak peek into something that I'm working on. And again, this is all this that I'm giving you is coming from my coaching. It's coming from me. It's coming from KPI and the things that I do to help people become better. All right, so value. Value, value. All right, so when I went to the internet was just very simple when it came to the definition. It says that the definition of value is the regard that something is held to deserve the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. Then I want to know what did Webster have to say. So Webster says there is a fair return or equivalent in goods, services, or money for something exchanged. All right, so those are a couple of definitions for the word value. All right, so again, I'm doing some teaching. This is a lesson that I want you all, if you've been following me, um, don't forget to journal, write down your notes so that, or make sure you come back to this and write down some things. As you begin to write down the notes for yourself in your journal, it's going to help you, okay? All right. Y'all ready? Now this is going to be deep, okay? Because when we talk about value, not only are we going to talk about you, but we're going to talk about the people that surround you. So you are going to have to be strong for this particular task, okay, of this lesson, for this bullet point. All right. So, question: how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself, and how do you feel about yourself? Because those words are very, very important, and they are going to be the key to you increasing your value. I said yesterday when I did my TikTok, if we were to put you on the market, if we were to put you up for sale, what would you go for? How much would somebody be willing to pay for you? I know as a life coach, some people say it just depends on, everybody's different. Of course, you got to think about the region. You have to think about the value of the content that has been given. We often say we got to know our worth, and that is true. Okay, that is absolutely true. So for most coaches charge from 75 to 225 dollars. Okay, an hour. And you may say, well, $225, ain't nobody paying that. Well, listen, when you go to the doctor and the doctor say you're going to have this procedure and they start putting in these codes, guess what? Yes, somebody along the way has said how much the value, what is the worth or the value of each procedure. And they gave it a particular number depending upon the code. Okay? So that's why even when you go to the doctor, even with me, I always make sure I look at my stuff, my receipt, my paper that they give me. I want to make sure, okay, code, no, no, we didn't counsel. No, you didn't consult me on nothing. No, we didn't talk about weight today. No, this was a regular exam. We did not consult anything because what they're doing is they are placing the value off of the information that has been presented. In return, they're going to bill your insurance. Okay, and if you don't have insurance, they're going to bill you. So if you don't have insurance, of course you're going to think $225 is a lot. But when you have a provider, you're like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. I've already done paid for it. It comes out of my check every week. All right. So I want you to look at this with a different set of lenses when we start talking about money and value. So again, as coaches, some coaches charge from 75 to 225 and they're basing it off their value. Now you're looking at them and saying, well, that's just so and so. That's just such and such. No, 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 no. We're not looking at the person. We're looking at the value of the content. Okay? That's what you should be looking at. You're looking at the value of the information that is provided. This is why, and I've seen it and I have experienced it, just being honest. This is why when you coach, or sometimes people they'll book some sessions with you, but they don't continue. And the reason why they often share how much they pay to other people. And then they say, oh man, I ain't paying for that. You crazy. I ain't doing all that. Or they start thinking to themselves what they're not going to do because they're looking at the person and not the content. Okay? They're not looking at the content of the value that is the value of the content that is designed to make you a better person or to help you be healed, and or be whole, whether you're going to a medical professional, or if you're going to say a coach, okay, whether it's a health coach, life coach, business coach. All right, so you have to know again, how you have to ask yourself, how do you feel about yourself? How do you feel? What do you think about yourself? How you feel about yourself is a matter of choice and not of circumstances. It is time out for you or people thinking a certain way because of your circumstances. You have to ask this question: why do you still feel that way? The circumstances are over. The situation has now bypassed. What is it that thing still causes you to feel less than? The event took place 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or even before you was even born. It was just that old messy cousin or neighbor talked about it or said something. And then you found out about it the hard way. And now it has corrupted your life. And now you don't know who you are, or you're not allowed to, because of your circumstances, you're not allowing yourself to adjust to the change, and you are now accepting this is me. Oh, I wasn't wanted, so now I don't think anybody else wants me. No, no, says who? Well, I can't keep a man, or I can't keep a good, a faithful girl. So maybe, no, you just made some poor decisions. Okay. There may be some things about yourself that you may need to adjust and ask yourself, why are you attracted to foolishness, or why are you attracted to a certain group of people? What is it about you that allows yourself to be very vulnerable? See, let me share something with you. With women, what breaks a woman is not so much that you cheat or if you cheat. What breaks a woman or hurts a woman is when you tell it. Because 9 times out of 10, women, when we get in relationships, we talk. We like to communicate. So then in return, we're very vulnerable with our information and we give it out. And sometimes we give out the information too soon. And so when you tell your vulnerable pieces of your life, the things you've gone through, for example, if you was incest, if you was raped, if you was molested, if you had an abortion, if you had a child and you gave your child up for adoption, or if you have or had an a STD or STI, and your partner communicates that out to the world, that breaks the woman. That hurts the woman because she has given you her intimacy. And now, because she's giving you her intimacy, the vulnerable part of her, now she feels, I can't trust anybody, or she feels less than because those events already was the kicker to making her feel a certain way anyway, and you just added the cherry. You just put the topping on top. So we wound as a woman, as women, we wound differently. Now we know how to love, and we will love hard. Okay, and this is why I know some people, they love hard in the toughest situation, but they do because of whatever reason. And prayerfully they'll get in contact with me or get a hold of this teaching and this training so they can see, wait a minute, hold up. I cannot love this relationship more than I love myself. I cannot love my past and staying attached to my past more than I'm concerned about my future. You have to be concerned about your future because God says, listen, I've already planned out your future. So you have to get out of your past. You have to forgive. You have to forget. You have to let some things go. Start what? Re-identifying yourself. Start saying, okay, wait a minute. Okay. For example, you know how you may have say an old couch. It's old, it's messed up, it's ripped, it's got some crayons or some markers written on it. Maybe somebody, took a cigarette, and put a hole in or whatever from back in the day. So you're looking at that couch and you're thinking, this ain't nothing, this ain't worth nothing. I'm going to what? Take this couch and set it on side of the road. Somebody will pick it up, whether it's a trash man or somebody who just now started out, right? So you don't have an eye for it because to you it has no value, right? Sometimes that's how people feel. They feel, just send me on out with the trash. There's no value. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to want me. Who is going to want me? Okay? That's how some people feel. But if you ever get someone around you who have an eye. I have a friend, one of my best friends, Deanna McKnight. She has an eye for the worst of the worst. You understand? She can take that old nasty couch. Oh, we can fix that. She went on to the store and got a patch and patched it up and went to the cloth store or upholstery store and say, hey, well, we want this. And one thing about McKnight, she ain't gonna pick out the cheapest upholstery. She gonna, no, 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 we're gonna pick this out, the best of the best, because she has an eye for value. Okay, but and I need for you to walk with me in this lesson. The difference is between you or an individual who saw this couch as just a nasty old dirty couch with a cigarette stain and a hole in the seat. All you saw was that. But when you connect it with someone who has vision, who has insight, who's creative, then they were able to bring some life back into that couch. That's what you need. Listen, this is why it's so important that you examine your reality. Who am I around? What am I around? What type of information do I have? Why am I saying that? When you lack information, it can cause you to make conclusions about a situation or even a person. You may think that couch is no good because you have lack of information. You didn't know that you can go get a patch, or you didn't know that you can go down the road and leave it with a person and at their shopping, and within 3 weeks they had that thing looking brand new. The lack of information would cause any of us to make a poor decision. Okay, so this sometimes can cause a person to make a poor decision. So if we know better, then we will do better. And if we know to do better, then guess what? We'll feel better. We'll start feeling better about ourselves. And this is so important because listen, I don't know about you, but I don't want to wake up ever, okay? Ever feeling less than or feeling like what am I going to accomplish today? What type of contribution am I going to make in this world today? No, I'm not going to ever feel like that. I don't want to, and I'm not going to. Why? Because I understand that there's something great that's on the inside. And get this, me feeling the way that I feel about myself has nothing to do with the lights on Facebook. Has nothing to do with the shares on Facebook. It has nothing to do with anybody else calling me and saying, "Hey Q, can you come and do this? Can you come and do that?" It has nothing to do with what other people have to say. It has everything to do with what I believe about myself. All right? It has everything to do with that, my belief system. All right? So, if you knew better, you would feel better and you will make better decisions. Now, what is the determining factor to feel good about yourself? You got to know your philosophy. What's your philosophy? If I were to ask you to write down 5 points or 4 points of your philosophy, could you do it? Or are you just falling for anything and everything? What are your standards? What do you believe in? What is your philosophy about life? And when I talk about philosophy, I'm not just talking about God. Yes, I'm a pastor, but you got to understand, I deal with people who don't believe. You understand? So when I'm talking to people. I'm talking to those who are saved and those who are not saved, those who love the Lord and those who don't want to believe in God, you know? But the question is still the same. What is your philosophy? You understand? What is your beliefs? What are your beliefs? Or have you stopped believing? Again, I'm not saying do you believe in God? Because the Bible says in James 2 and 19 that even the demons they believed. So we're not even talking about that. We're talking about you based off of your life experience. What do you believe? Okay? Because when you don't have enough information, again, this is why we make the decisions that we make. This is why sometimes people, they may fight up against a person's choice, but you don't have enough information about it. You come up against a community of people who may be doing something that you don't agree with, but you don't know any more than what, you know, just that I don't like that. Oh, I can't stand that. But you don't know anything else to say. You don't have enough information. But yet, what do? We start placing judgments on people and things. Oh, I wouldn't do that. How? How you know? You don't know. What are your values? Because if you don't have set values, then you could. It's possible. That's why we should never say what we are not going to do. That's why we should never say what I ain't doing that. I never go around her, or I never be a part, or I never uh, deal with this when it comes to a person. How do you know that? You don't know that. You do not know that. All right? You don't know that unless you have set values, unless you have set boundaries, unless you have set philosophies. All right? So let's move on. All right. All right. This is why no matter how you try, you may not be able or be successful in causing another person to change. Because we're talking about philosophies, right? And the thing about it, even though you may not be able to get someone to change, the thing is, We need people. And I know there's some people out there who's saying, I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody. It's me, myself, and I. And I done told you about you, yourself, and you know what I'm saying? You, yourself, and I. Don't, no. It ain't no me, myself, and I. No, you need people. What if McDonald's say, we don't need nobody? Where would they get the hamburger meat from? Where would they get the sauce from? Where would they get the buns from? Where would that, you know what I'm saying? Where would the workers come from? Think about what you say. I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody to help me. You know, if we didn't need anybody, then what would this world be like? What would the market be like? What would the economy truly be like if we had that mindset? All right. So you may not be able to change people, but we can change ourselves. And then hopefully, by them seeing that we have changed, then they will say, okay, I like what I see. Let me start making some better decisions about myself. All right. So, you know, you have to truly, truly know not only know your value, but you have to truly, truly, it goes back to my first step in all of this, facing your reality. Okay. Because if you're a person saying, I don't need anybody, there's some truth to it, but it's not that you don't need anybody. You just need the right person. Like I said, McDonald's, they're not going to say we don't need anybody because they need people. They need different people. They need a variety of people to be the number one restaurant chain. They need certain things. KFC, they need Gym Pack in order to make their products, their containers. KFC can say all day long, we make the best chicken. There's nobody else out there who can make the chicken like us. But how are they going to get it to the consumers? Well, they need a company that can make what? Plastic containers so that they send the containers to KFC to all the different franchise. Then guess what? In return, they put the dish or the food into the containers, which then what comes out to us as the consumers. So yes, they need us. And guess what? They don't care if you're black buying a three-piece meal. They don't care if you're a LG from the LGBTQ plus community, buying a two-piece. They don't care if you are what? If you're a white person or Hispanic person buying such and such. No, they know in order for them to be profitable, they need to know what? Who else can I get value from? This company, what? I can get value from them. This is why they hold 75, 80% of the market. You understand? So that's how you have to start looking at people. And again, I'm getting ready to start digging deep because in this lesson, you're going to really start looking at the people that you deal with. Because not only are you looking at your value, but what is the value of the people that's around you? Listen, when it comes to companies, if the quality is not good, for example, I'll still use I use KFC and Gym Pack for example, because Gym Pack does make the plastic container for them. But let's say, for example, Gym Pack was gave out poor quality, right? Every time they got, every time KFC, received their package, there was always a hole or there was some type of extra debris on it or there was some type of quality defect to where the people in the restaurants, the chain owners couldn't really use it. They had to keep throwing it away. Eventually, KFC gonna be like, well, we can't use you no more. We cannot use you anymore. Why? Because of your value is now what? Being part is hurting our value because now we can't sell our product because we do not have what the right container or we do not have enough containers to satisfy our customers throughout the day because we have thrown away half of last week's shipment. You understand? So if you don't get yourself together and we don't deal with this critical situation, then guess what? We are going to look for someone else to start manufacturing our products. See, in the corporate world, they do it easily. You know, oh, uh, we got what? We got five, critical complaints, and we're now what, in the month of April? All right, y'all keep playing if you want to. We'll go find somebody else. See, corporate world, they'll make decisions. They'll go find somebody else. With us, we try to be we're so busy being loyal to the wrong things. And in the midst of being loyal to foolishness and being loyal because you've known a person all your life and being loyal just because their family and whatever, and they're not bringing any value, you think well, I'm just no. Why? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not telling y'all to be calling people and say, well, Apostle Q said I can't be cool with you no more. But I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is look at the value of the people that surround you. Stop saying you want more. Stop saying you want better and you can't see more. I told somebody a couple of weeks ago, I said, listen, I don't care what that person's life looks like. When they come in my space, I'm going to introduce something. I'm going to introduce a better way. I'm going to introduce colleges, universities, HBCU schools. I'm going to introduce, AKAs, deltas, zetas. I'm going to introduce those terms and those social networks that student may not know about. So just because you think their life is going to be one way doesn't mean it has to be. That's why you want to connect with value people. Okay? I hope y'all still with me. All right. So, when we were younger, we did foolish things. You know, we would say stuff like, man, I don't know if I'm going in tonight, or I don't know if I'm going in tomorrow. You did that because you didn't have a lot of value around you. You probably was still staying at home with your mom or your dad or your parents, probably, or your roommate, or shacking, well, I don't want to say shacking, or living with somebody else who was there to help out with the bills, or you just a person just didn't care. See, when you're young, you do stuff like that. But when you get older, you start looking at the value of life. You start looking at, man, that one day of missed work, whew, that's a bill. That's really a bill right there. So I can't afford not to go to work. So when you're young, you make foolish decisions. In the past, you may have made foolish decisions. But when you get value content like what I'm trying to give you, you have to say, hey, now I'm accountable to make better decisions. Things that my flesh want to do, I can't allow it to do because why? I'm reaching for something greater in my life. I want more. Again, I'm going to keep saying, Jesus says, listen, I came that you may have life and have it more abundantly. What is the abundance? We want to see it, we hear it, we talk about it, but what is the abundance? The abundance is going to come from you and myself making better decisions. All right? All right, let me move on. So, when we were young, we did foolish things, no value, but now we're older, we're making better decisions. All right? Now, this is why, now remember, I told you, you want people to change, but you may not be able to get them to change. But this is why you focus on you, becoming a better you. All right. So when you think of value, you are not just looking at you, but you are looking at the things around you that influence you. That's why I say you have to look in your phone, look at the pictures that's in your phone, look at the last 20 people who you have talked to. What is the value in those conversations? I'm serious. Okay, that's when they say take 20. Let's just say take the last 5 phone calls, take the last 5 text messages. Were there any value in any of those people? Even if the text messages were from different people, were there any value? You have to look at the people who are in your life, those who are in you, excuse me, those who are in your immediate circle. You have to look at it. Again, we're not trying to be mean, we're not trying to disown, but we are just examining. We are facing our reality and we are being accountable. All right. So sometimes we'll get mad, or people will get mad at you and say stuff like, you think you're better than me, or you acting all bad, or you acting a certain way. No, 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 no. No, you're not better than another person. It's just your perception is different from theirs. That's all. It's just what they're seeing and how you see things are just different. Your philosophy varies from theirs. Your standards are different from theirs. All right? So ask yourself, why are you able to see the good in others but not yourself? Why is it that you quit to celebrate others and their accomplishments, but you want to allow yourself to celebrate you? The answer is very simple. Many people do not know who they are. And I know there are some who's going to argue and be like, I know who I am. No, you know your responsibility. You know the responsibilities that you have. You know that you're a parent. You know that you are a spouse. You know that you are a sister or a brother. You know that you're an aunt. You know that you're an uncle. You know that you are a lead on your job, or you know that you're a supervisor. You know that you're a pastor. You know that you are a layman or a member of a particular a local assembly. You know that you're the mail person. You know that you are a fire person. You know that you're a police officer. You know your responsibilities. You know that you're a teacher. You know, come on, you know that you're a lawyer. You know those things because that's what we say first. Who are you? Well, what do you do? Well, I have 5 children and I've been married for 13 years and we just have a dog and I think we're going to buy a cat and we just love just being here. You know? No, 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 no. You know your responsibilities or your responsibility, whichever one. Either you have one or more. You know that, but you do not know who you are. And this is why when people come to you far as devaluing you, it's easy because you don't know your worth. You don't know. You you think that you are just like that couch, you know? Because you can still sit on it. It's okay, maybe. Or maybe because it does have that stain. Oh no, we don't want that. And we just toss it out with the other trash and think that it's nothing when it can be something in the eyes of somebody who has vision. All right. So, all right. Ask yourself, why are you able to see the good? Okay, I just said that. Ask yourself, why are you able to see the good or the value in others, but not yourself? All right. So, again, the answer is very simple. Many people do not know who they are. You know your responsibilities, but you do not know what what triggers you. Okay, what's on the inside. All right, I'm getting ready to close out, y'all. All right, number one, you have to ask some serious questions. Number one, who am I when I am around you? Oh, y'all, this is some good stuff. I think I'm gonna charge y'all. Okay, I think I'm gonna charge y'all. All right, $45 an hour. All right, I think I'm gonna charge y'all for this because this is some good stuff, right? This is some good stuff. Who am I when I am around you? When I began to put this together, I thought about it. This is how a lot of affairs come about: sexual affairs, emotional affairs. Because to me, emotional affair is just as damaging as a sexual affair. When you don't know who you are, or you're not allowed to be who you are with everybody, but you can with a particular people or person, then they get the best of you. Y'all, this is good. It's really worth more than 45. I'm just saying. It's really good. Who are you when you are with other people? See, the reason why I said this is how some affairs starts because you tend to feel different when you're around a certain person, right? They make you feel a certain way, and now it becomes easy to be who you really are or what you want to project. This is why when people normally have affairs or they having life changes or they want to do stuff that they think that people would not approve of, what do? They move. Y'all, this is good. This is some good content. They move to another city, they move to another state so they can be free, you know? So they can be free to be who they are, so they can express who they are, so they won't hear any judgments, so they won't have to go through what you doing and you crazy and all this and that. They feel a sense of freedom. Ask yourself, who am I when I'm around you? Again, they make you feel a certain way, and now it becomes easy to be you. When all along you've been lying and deceiving to others about the real you. This is why you have to face your reality. All right? Not only do you need to ask, who am I when I'm around you? But I need for you to look at the people who you're running with. What do they look like? How do they talk? What are their goals? What are their future? What are their reputations like? What are they known for? What are some of their past accomplishments? We're not talking about failures because we all have failed at something. It doesn't mean that we're a failure. We all have made mistakes. You understand? We all have done it, okay? So I'm talking about the accomplishments. What are something good that they've done? You know, what are their depths of knowledge? What is their attitudes like? What are their attitude? Are they always grumpy? Are they always negative? And I've said it a lot, y'all. I don't like being around negative people. I don't like to be around people who complain about everything. Everything. I can see you voice your opinion about something, but everything you got something to say is you. It's really you. Okay? It's really you. Unless you're going to create a business to solve the problem. All right? That's another story, or that's another teacher. All right. So, what is their attitude like? All right. Do they understand value? When was the last time that the people that you deal with read a book, went to a seminar, or some type of training? What makes the people you are with valuable? What makes the people that you deal with worth your time? I told you this session, this part of the lesson, and this session is going to be some deep, deep, deep. It's going to be deep because you got to ask yourself, why am I connected? Or why am I not connected? Because the enemy don't mind separate. It's easy for us to fall out and separate. That's easy. But why am I choosing to stay together? What is going to be the benefit of our partnership? What's going to be the value? See, when you go in partnership with somebody in a business, it doesn't matter. Now get this. Yes, you're looking at integrity, you're looking at a whole bunch of stuff, right? But you're looking at what can they bring to the table. You're not looking for no yes man or no yes woman because what? You are investing. They are investing and they want to know, just like you should know, what is going to be my return. If I go into partnership with you as a friend, as a lover, as ministry, or in ministry, business, whatever, if I go into partnership with you, what is going to be my return? When you decide, hey, I'm going to have a baby by somebody else, when I go into partnership, what is going to be my return? Yes, the baby is going to be pretty. Oh, they also pretty, after the first week or whatever, because we all know at the beginning they've been in the water, so they all wrinkly and look a certain way, but we love them anyway. We say how pretty they are anyway. But I'm not talking about the baby, but I'm talking about, because the baby is the investment. But the thing is still this: when you get into a relationship and you go into bed with somebody and you create a child, what is the what that the investment is what they gave you. Now you have a child, but then what is still going to be the value of this partnership? This is why we have a lot of single mothers, because they wasn't looking at, what am I going to get out of this deal? Yes, I'm going to get the child. I'm going to get the responsibility of getting up in the nights and wiping their nose and checking their temperature and enrolling them in school and helping them with homework while you're out here doing other stuff and making other babies. That's the reality that people don't want to talk about today. But we're happy because we have the babies, right? But what is the full investment? Is the father, is the mother, because there are fathers who's raising their own, their children, outside, without the mom or whatever. But what is the value that you're going to get out of this parenthood, this relationship when you get married? What's the if I marry you, what am I going to get out of this? See, a lot of times we get married because the church told us to get married because it's better to marry than to burn, right? So you don't want to have sex, and then so you get married, but then you didn't look at the partnership, you didn't look at the investment, you didn't look at the value of what you brought to the table, and what they're not looking at the value of what they're bringing to the table. So now you got two different individuals who don't know the value of what they can bring, and then what happens? We tend to divorce. We tend to shortchange ourselves. And then we go on to the next person. And then the next person. And then the next person. And then the next person. Still not knowing our value. If I connect with you, what's going to be my return? Outside of sex, what's going to be my return? Outside of a house, outside of a car, what's going to be my return? How are you going to treat me? How am I going to treat you? Am I going to encourage you? It, you understand? In my return, outside of this $30,000 wedding and reception, what is going to be the return on this investment? What's going to be the value at the end? If the value, oh my God, listen, I ain't trying to make you mad. I just want you to think. If the value is less than what you started, in business, we end it. We end the contract. Thank you, but at this point, we thank you for what you've been able to do for us, but at this time, we forecasting the next two, quarters to bring in such and such amount of revenue. However, we don't see that you have the capabilities to sponsor what we need. Therefore, we will have to take our business elsewhere. But thank you for what you have contributed from the past. All along, we would like to introduce to you such and such company that has now took the place of XYZ. They bring this experience, they bring this, they bring that to the table, and we forecast that what we're going to see a 12% increase in our sales, and what, a 5% decrease in our quality reject, because because when they came with a plan. They came what, being top of their industry. They came being number one. They came with substance. They knew their value. They knew their worth. They knew that, hey, in order to get us to go into business with them, then they will have to do something different than the previous customer that we had or the client that we worked with. I'm getting ready to stop. What are their accomplishments? What are their depths of knowledge? What is their attitude? Do they understand their value? When was the last time, like I said, when was the last time they read a book? They have went into a seminar, a training. What makes the people you are with valuable? Remember, we are trying to be better. We are trying to obtain influential information so that we can grow and experience a life and its fullness. It's not about hurting somebody's feelings. It's not about somebody being mad at you. Think about it. People gonna be mad at you anyway. At least be better. You know what I'm saying? People gonna talk about you anyway. At least be good at what it is that you do. You know? So this was good. This was good. This was good. So I just wanted to get on to encourage you. So this the word value is the word for the week. Now, I do I'm gonna stop saying I do a lot because, you know, I'm gonna stop saying that. But what I will say is this. This is what I've been giving you, becoming a better version, is what you get when you contact me and say, hey, Q, you know, I want to see some growth in my life, whether it's my business or whether it's me personally. I need some coaching. I need some guidance. I need some counseling. I need some empowerment. I need to go to that next place. This is what you get. These tough conversations, the reality. And then we got some other stuff that that we have like worksheets and stuff for you to see for yourself. Hey, you know, because I believe once you start looking at it truly, just sitting down, taking time to look at yourself and look at your life, you'd be like, dang, it's my fault. I allowed it to happen. It is what it is. But now let me get up. Let me do better. And that's all that's what you do. When you know to do better, you do better. When you get the information, you do better and you become happy. And that's what I want. I want you to be happy. All right? All right, you all. So until the next time, God bless you. I pray that heaven smiles upon you. Yeah, if you have any questions, then just give me a call. Um, but this is what we do. Okay, this is what we do from KPI. All right? God bless you. Have a great rest of the day.